Hi, my name is Carter. The U.S. has always been at the forefront of progress and knowledge. We got where we are today because we've always pushed the limits. Americans have always strived to be the first and best in every field. At the turn of the 20th century, the U.S. became a world superpower, so we realized that dream. What did we do with our newfound status as a world leader? We decided to push the limits to the max. We set our sights on space. We put our best minds together to achieve some of the greatest technological feats in human history. It is my contention that due to the creation of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA, in 1958, the United States asserted itself as a dominant world power. More specifically, though, I want to talk about NASA's economic and technological contributions. First, I'm going to argue that NASA has been one of the most lucrative federal agencies in United States history in terms of information gained and technological advancements made. Secondly, I'm going to argue that the United States is losing its technological edge because of our failure to pursue space exploration with the same zeal as the Kennedy administration. First thing I want to talk about is NASA being one of the most lucrative federal agencies in United States history, or my belief that it is. Currently, the DoD, or Department of Defense, has used NASA for several unclassified and classified operations. These include, but not limited to, communication satellites, navigation satellites, early warning systems, weather, ballistic missile defense, and finally launch vehicles. These launch vehicles are primarily used, though, by the civil sector for putting up our satellites. According to OMB budget reports for the fiscal years of 1966, 1970, and 2015, that's just the NASA current budget for 1966, or the NASA budget for 1966 was about 4.41% of the total federal budget, which is, it seems pretty high, but it's still low. That was actually the greatest the budget has ever been for NASA. Today, NASA's current budget for 2015 is at 0.5% of the federal budget. It has slowly gone down over the years. It's been steady around 1%. That's the highest it went up to, and that was in 1970. This should provide some context on how much money NASA has to work with and how much they accomplish. So to put it in perspective, NASA's budget and some real numbers, NASA's budget for 2015 is $17.46 billion. While that may seem like a lot of money, the current budget for the fiscal year 2014 that was proposed for the United States military is $756.4 billion. That's 43 times NASA's budget. To put it even more in more perspective, the National Soft Drinks Association released a figure that that Americans spend about 65 billion a year on just soda alone, and the Brewers Association released numbers saying that Americans spend about 90 billion a year on just beer alone. So those are staggering numbers compared to NASA's budget. NASA has coined the term spinoff to describe specific technologies that have been developed for missions but are now put to commercial use. As of 2012, NASA has identified about 1,800 spinoffs success stories. Some of these spinoffs include artificial limbs, fire-resistant building reinforcement, firefighter gear, portable cordless vacuums, solar cells, and water purification. In 1971, a study done by the Midwest Research Institute found an average return rate of 7 to 1 for every dollar that was invested in NASA. A similar study done by the same people in 1988 found a 9 to 1 return rate for every dollar invested in NASA. Numerous other studies done over the years, more specifically the Chapman reports of 1989 and 1993, showed billions of dollars in NASA contributions to sales and savings. A study done by the WEFA group in 1994 estimated a total of 380,000 jobs created by NASA up to 1994. All right, for my second point, the United States is losing its technological edge. in NASA's 2015 spinoff report, since 2000, NASA has only created about 18,000 jobs. So in 15 years, we've created 18,000 jobs compared to the 380 we created from its creation to 1995 or 1994. These numbers are impressive, you know, with the, 18,000, but they're really nothing like the 380,000 we had in NASA's prime. I also want to talk about other countries' successes in their space program. China has actually already landed a rover on the moon and orbited it. They have plans in motion to put people on the moon by 2017, so 2 years from now. The benchmarks they set for themselves to put a rover on the moon and orbit it were met like exactly right on time. So when they say they're going to put people on the moon by 2017, that's when they're going to do it. They're definitely going to do it. The European Space Agency also landed the spacecraft Philae onto a comet, which is unprecedented scientific achievement. NASA has significantly changed American society and played a key role in keeping the United States at the forefront of modern day science. Thank you very much.
All right, you've got a lot of good data that you've got in the speech about budgets, about employment, about the spinoffs that you're talking about. I like that. I think the problem here is at the beginning that you don't have as clear a claim of propositional claim as you need to have. You basically are making the argument that NASA created our power and it's what advanced us, but then the rest of the argument is really about how we are being shortchanged because of a lack of spending. So it seems to me like the real argument here is that there is a substantial need for the U.S. to increase its budget commitment to NASA, that there is going to be a benefit to doing so, that the consequences of allowing NASA to continue to deteriorate in terms of funding are substantial, that there are harms to doing that. And I think that that's a little bit clearer argument. The beginning is really an explanation of the history rather than the claim. There's a claim buried in here, but you need to get it up to the surface. And the argument is really that NASA needs substantially more financing than it's currently getting. It needs it because there's a economic benefit to doing it. It needs it because there's a technological benefit. And then at the end, it needs it because there's a national interest in doing so, in keeping the United States at the forefront of technology, and that we are falling behind. I think that's the way you need to build that argument. The way you've got the proposition phrased now, like I said, it sounds like an historical event as opposed to something that we're talking about on this issue. All right. I'm going to stop there because apparently people need to go. But we've got two more speakers. So, Justin?